Hey guys, it's another Friday, and this is going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about making something, and it's also going to have some nostalgia because I know a lot of you chicks that follow me are from the 60s, 70s, 80s, right? Just like me. I'm born in 55, so that even makes me farther back. But in the 60s, there were trends, and up into the 70s, for jewelry like this. Big bibs made out of natural materials. And I remember, I think it was 68, my parents took my brother and I up to Cleveland to the Museum of Natural History or something that they have up there. And I mean, this was big time in the hippie times. There were all these VW buses that were all painted up, and girls with really weird hair, at least to me. I wouldn't think two things about it now, but it was to me. And they like had eyes in their hands and would go like this. And, there's all kinds of hippie stuff going on there, but there was a lot of creativity too, and it was being influenced by the dinosaur bones and the mummies and all the stuff that was inside the museum, you know. So that kind of carried over into that boho look, that festival look we call it now. And I just never got over it. And I don't know if you have too. Put it in the comments. If you like this kind of jewelry, if you have made this jewelry, or if you have memories of those days. And I know some of you do. I know a couple of you were at Woodstock. I'm not going to call your name out, but I know you were there. And I've seen pictures. So there you go. But anyway, let's hear about it. Let's make this a lot of fun. And then I'm going to give the specs on how to make this piece of jewelry because it's awesome. And it's heavy, but not that bad. Not that bad. I would wear this all day. It wouldn't bother me. Okay, come on over here. And we're going to get right to it. 60s memory and storytelling jewelry, because that's what this is. Okay, guys. Now, you might remember seeing this picture because I've showed it a lot of times. This was my original festival style boho type storytelling memory, whatever you want to call it, bib. And it's made of a lot of natural materials. Let me put my glasses on now since you can't see me. But yeah, it's got a lot of stuff going on here. It has a lot of check glass on it. There are preciosa rondelles on here. And there's a lot of bone, It's yak bone is what it is. I get it from India, and it comes in, I showed you before, I'm sure. It's absolutely bleached white. But that makes it good because then you can tea dye it, or you can stain it with Kool-Aid or butterfly tea or whatever it is you use, and you can get some awesome effects and get some really great color onto it. But this, I just kind of like the tea stain stuff. I mean, I colorize a lot too. You know, I've done a lot of stretchies. So if you go back through my videos, you'll see them. There are a lot of stretchies that I've done with the bone beads where I've dyed them different colors. But this is just tea stain. And I was real happy with the way it came out. And for some reason, I don't know why, but this just didn't take too much time to put together. And I'm thinking maybe it was because I didn't make as long of pieces here. Because the longer you make the pieces, the more you got to work them out. You'll see that in a minute. I'm going to show you. But anyway, I have to say, this piece, when I put on Etsy, lasted 10 minutes. I don't know if that was a fluke. It probably was. But it sold for like 100 and a quarter, 135. I can't remember, something like that. And it sold real quick. And then Stampington wanted it for an article, and I couldn't send it to them, and I couldn't make another one fast enough because I didn't have the right parts. So I missed my window there, but I'm going to maybe send them this one we're working on today for the next time to see what they think. But anyhow, this was the original one, and so then I worked really hard working out another one so that you could see all the specs and what you need to do. And I'm going to tell you, you know, the hows and the whys and the wherefores of what you got to do. And you will have to take it from there because honestly, this is a project where you're going to be working out a lot of it for yourself. You know, I can advise you, and you can always get hold of me and ask me, send me pictures and ask me, you know, what I think, and I will be happy to help. But this is the central part. And how that works out, let me get it all straightened out because it's going all wonky. You know, you gotta find colors that blend good too. I mean, I put lots of stuff on here. I end up taking it right back off, you know. It's just nope, 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 nope. I was finally, and I think I could have even done better in a few regards, but I was running out of the right stuff at all. So anyhow, but okay. So I use a lot of bone beads, and they're all teased. You can see that. I use some acrylics. These right now we have in a mix, kind of like, I don't know if you can see it, kind of like this. This is mine. We have it at Etsy, and you get some of these hoop earrings in it too, and it's so dirt cheap, it's ridiculous. You guys gotta go over there and get some. Because you can combine it in here, and it will work out really well for you. These are really cool beads. But anyway, and you get about that much too, so this is a lot. So I use some of those here, a few places. And I use some check glass. This is check, the new laser glass. I got this. There's a little bit of shell in there, this one. I should have mirrored it over here, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be all perfect like that. I just really wanted to get this one just right. Oh, see how it flips over here. Once you put it around your neck, though, it'll all fall in place. But anyway, I have the center I want to show you. Is what I call the abacus style. And it's, you know, very long. You can make a necklace just out of this, obviously. And I have. I was looking high and low. I had one that broke. I needed to fix the clasp one. It wasn't a big deal. But I threw it aside. I'm going to take care of it one day. And I couldn't find it. And I really would have loved to have it to, you know, show you. But anyhow, I've done necklaces where it's just this part. And there wasn't anything to it. You know, I would just hook it to the roller chain just like I did here. And go over and then go from there and beat it up the side. You know, no big deal. And you would save a lot of time. It does take time to make this, because you can see you have a bunch of techniques going on in here. First of all, you have to have these little bars, and they look kind of like this. I'll show you. See, and they're in anything from India. A lot of times a little bit wonky, like I call designer crude, you know. And for me, that's okay, because I like that. You know, you want it all precise, and Indian goods are probably not for you, but I absolutely love them. So we got all the yak bone going on. These little discs here are Aquaterra Jasper, which is a favorite of mine. These little yellow flowers are check. But what you do is you take, I'll just show you real quick, because I can't possibly do this whole necklace in like a half an hour, 40 minutes on here. No way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you the particulars. If you want to try and work it out, you'll have the basics. And then what we'll do, sometime this fall, we'll have a one-day class where, you know, we'll spend maybe 2.5 hours, and we'll make one start to finish. And we'll have a lot of it pre-made so we can just move right along. But anyway, so basically what I do is I loop the top, and this isn't looped because it's a head pin, of course, but, oh, that wouldn't work too good. I gotta go this way. Okay, so what I would normally do is I would cut this off if I had a head pin. If I had an eye pin, so much the better, but I don't have any brass ox eye pins right now, so I have to make them. So I just cut this off, turn it and loop it around, and there you go. It looks like this then. Okay, and then I go ahead after I've done that, and I maybe take another bead. See if I've got something here that's small. See, I don't have a lot of small beads left. When you know it. I thought I had them all straightened out. Okay, this is small enough. So we put this on like this, and then what we would do is we just continue. Now this doesn't quite fit, almost though. You can make it work. You just got to make sure that if you've got 4 holes at the top, all the other ones that you want to use, you're going to have, you know, about like that. Okay? So you'll go like this, and then you'll put another small bead in another one, and then you loop it again, and you end up getting this. Which would be best if I could just show you the whole thing being done. But what I'm going to do is I found a place where I can buy these bars, which is really hard to find, let me tell you. And so I have an order in, and it will be coming in probably by the time this video comes out. they'll be here, and you'll be able to get them on the website, okay? So once they are available on the website, I will put a link below in the below the description so that you can find them easy, because they are not easy to find. Now, when you buy bone beads from me, they're all the cacophony of mixed up stuff. They could be like all this stuff I have laid out here and then some. You will find in this mix sometimes some of those. That's how I found mine. I just had to call them out of whatever bone beads I had. But now it's going to be cool because we're going to be able to just have those. So if you just need those, you can get them, which is cool. So, but you can see it. It's just all wired through and then connected. I've got one here, one strand here. So once it goes sideways, that's because I didn't make it tight enough. Then this goes in the middle. And on the other side. And so they're, you know, not quite the same length. The one in the middle, of course, is longer. And you have this ornament at the bottom. We did a video on how to make this. And I will link it for you. So you can go back there and see that. When I decide to have this class sometime this fall, because I've got several little day classes I want to do this fall, you know, I'll have it all lined up more for you. But I've got the jasper rondelles in there. I've got these little springy beads, and they are a hoot. Now, where in the world did I put them? Oh, here they are. Have fun trying to find these, because they don't make them anymore. But when Mr. Bernie was going through some stuff, he found a bunch of them over at 1920, and he sold me all of them to me. And I'm only now starting to get low on them. Can they see this, hobby? Okay, so they're like little springy. I've showed you before. We put them on memory wire bracelets and stuff. So much fun. Anyway, and they're different colors. Like what they are is copper coat on steel wire. That's exactly what they are. And they are vintage. So I use them a lot. They can squish down in. There's a different bone beads and the jasper beads, and then there's a focal right here. So these would make cool earrings too, don't you think? Just this here. Wouldn't that make cool earrings if I had two of them? Oh yeah, I would wear those. Boy, I'll tell you what, that's the shades of the 60s and 70s. That is memory jewelry for sure. Or when I say memory jewelry in this case, is because it makes me have memories. I remember wet braiding my hair, and I had very long hair then. Wet braiding it, letting it dry so that when I took it out, it went way out all over the place. I wore moccasins. I had little wire rim sunglasses. I had hip hugger, big, wide bell bottoms. I guess I thought it was going to look like Janis Joplin. I don't know, whatever. But hey, I wasn't the only one in my school. Everybody. And if we had had earrings like this, we would have been over the moon because it was the look. So you can achieve that today with natural materials. And I'm finding more and more resources for them. So don't worry. We're going to be a good source for you to find real unusual shell beads. So you could do sailor's valentines or do these bibs. All kinds. I got a bunch of bone beads coming in sometime next week. I don't know, maybe they'd be up in time for this because we're doing this way ahead. Javi has to go on vacation, so we're getting this one in the can, so to speak, way ahead of time. It's coming out August 1st. So when you see this, it'll be August 1st. And there's a good possibility the things I'm talking to you about will be on the site then, and you'll be able to go and look at it. But I can't give you a link right now because I don't know where they're going to be. But anyway, that's how that middle part goes. So if you want to figure that out, you can. When I do the class, I'll do that part, okay? Also, let's just get this all to hang the right way because, you know, then everyone wants to flip around every which way. Okay. Oh my goodness, where'd it go? Okay, here we go. There we go. So I use these big beads up here and the neckline. You can see I used 4 sections, and I'm going to give you measurements, okay? The sections are about 1.5 inches, and I did 4 of them going up around the neck, okay? And I use the chunky ones because they look best. Plus, you got to have something to balance this out. You can't just use little ditzy beads up here. You could string them on beadle on. I think you say 49 for the heavy stuff. I don't know, you correct me there, because I'm not a big bead stringer, but I'm going to get that down, because we're going to get into that too. I'm going to get that down a little bit. It's not that I don't know how, it's just I don't do it all the time. I always do it on wire. Wire's been my thing. So anyway, I've got 4 of them, and then I use a great big lobster clasp, heavy. You got to use big to support the weight of this. Then this gives you kind of a pattern for how the whole necklace is going to be. And this piece, we have this copper coat Rolo. It's vintage and it's on Etsy. So if you want some, we have a good bit of it. You can get it there. I may have some more down in my bead room. But anyway, you want about 6.25 inches of this. That's all you need, is that. And then you'll hang, you know, through all the holes there. I love using Rolo chain for stuff like this, because it is just amazing how you can count it off and get it straight. You have fewer problems working with this. Oh, looks like John came home. So anyway, you know, that's one thing. You know, if you have some already, go ahead and use it. Doesn't matter if you get this. I just used this because I had it, you know. But if you don't have any, I have some, and it's very, very low cost, so you don't have to worry about that. So then I have some little, you know, rhinestone rondelles in here, this and that. I ordered some more. They'll be here any day now. There are some on the website too. But just, you know, you just pull stuff out, just a plethora of things that you think go together. You know, choose your colorway. I like this colorway. I use this a lot, where it's more the natural colors. And then I'll do a pop or a flash, a color like here. I think there's another bead like that in here somewhere. But and then these red ones up here, just a little bit of something. And I'll put it on, and I'll go and I'll put it up next to me with the other ones going across, and I'll say, you know, does that look out of place? And I don't know, for me, I'm good with this. But, you know, you have to decide that. I can't tell you that. You have to decide that. But anyway, here's another place where we use a little, like this could be an earring, you know, with a little paddle, pendants. And those are in those bags too. I just can't guarantee you that they're in any particular bag. So that's why I say, if you're going to work with bone, you're going to want 3 or 4 bags. And you're never going to regret that you had them, because, you know, you can just dye what you want, set them aside. You could dye them all if you want. I do them tea stain. Very hot, very black tea, like 5 bags of red rose tea or Irish breakfast tea or something like that in, I don't know, quart of water, maybe less. And then I throw my beads down in there, and I leave the bags in, because that helps it to get stronger and stronger. And leave it in for at least overnight, at least. You can leave it all the next day. You can leave it in 2 days if you want. It does not matter. But you could really get a good look like that. And get it out, let it dry real good, and then you'll use some matte lacquer or maybe satin, you know, to seal it off a little bit. You'll want to do that. I don't know what John's doing there, but excuse the noise. Anyway, so that's another thing I wanted you to remember, to do that. Also, I use some lampwork beads.
You can do it!
These are mine, but we have these on Etsy if you want to look for them. At least we did. If you can't find them, you just tell me. I'll get some more. How about that? These beads are cool. Not everybody loves these colors, but I do. And so it went with this. So I used that. So, okay, so you got about 6.25 in the chain here. These sections about 1.5 inch chunky beads. And then this, for your middle section with the abacus is, let's see, about 1 5/8 inches long. And then from that, the middle drop on it is about 5.25. And the side ones are, let's see, a little bit over 3. But you eyeball that up and you look at that. But you remember, you know, to please yourself, but you remember this. Your longest length needs to be in the middle. So you need to figure out where the middle is before you start hooking anything up, okay? And then this needs to be in the middle and needs to be the longest length. And everything from that graduates up, because here's what happens. When you put it on the Rolo and then you wear it, see, it draws up. See, and it'll make a really cool V shape around your neck and it looks really nice. So that's how, and you don't have to make them this long. No. You don't have to do that. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. These here, they're 5 inches. They're about like this one. So this, they're longer. But anyway, now, another thing you don't have to do that I did is you'll see or notice, and especially if you're taking classes with me where I made a bib necklace, I tend to segment them in sections, maybe like an inch long, and then I put a jump, and then I do another section, and then it's maybe that same length longer, a little bit longer, and then I'll put a little drop at the end of that. And it gives it fluid, it gives it movements. I don't know if I can convey that to you here or not. It just gives it a lot of movement, and I really like that. Now I've messed up my whole pattern, but anyway. But I really like that. And here's the thing, when you're making this, you're thinking it out. Look at your stash and see what you got that brings you nostalgia. If you have an old length of hippie beads or something like that, and you want to break them up, most of them aren't high value. You could check on them first and see. Then you could, maybe use some of them. And are those old beads that look like nuts or shell beads? Oh yeah, that would work really good. Shell, bone, clay. Make your own clay beads. Anything organic, slightly imperfect, tactile, is all great for this. So if there's a part for example, there's a part that you really want for your bib or, whatever you're making, and you don't have it, you could possibly make it out of some epoxy sculpt or even polymer clay or some kind of a clay that you can sand. I have a couple of clays coming in that are air dry, and they're not as expensive as epoxy sculpt, and I think they may work for us for jewelry making pretty well. So we'll try those when that comes in, and I'll let you know how that goes. But that's, this stuff you can do, and you can paint that or, colorize it any way you want. But that's a subject for another day. But basically, that's your dimensions. So on your sides, once this is all hooked up from this 6 1/4 piece of Rolo, you're going to have about 6 1/2 inches. 6 1/2 inches on each side and 6 1/4 around here. So you're looking at about 19 inches-ish, which is pretty good length for most people. If you want a little bit longer, you could put another small section here at the back. That's what I would say, rather than hang more stuff on the bottom and actually get it too heavy. Or sometimes when you're using long pieces, it gets real wonky. It doesn't hang right, if you use too many. So this is about the max you'd want to use. So there's a big central motif in the middle, which is the abacus, and then there are 7 links on each side, and you have to just work them out. You get your stuff, line it up. I don't know if you can see it here, but I've got like straight beads, I've got wheel beads, I've got big fat round oval beads, I've got jasper beads, I have some focals, I have some more of those springy beads, I have these acrylics. I mean, you can mix it up any way that you want, and you're going to have a blast doing it. But then you'll have a fantastic bib that nobody else is going to have one like it. Or, you could make these and sell them too. Maybe other people have their nostalgic beads that they would like to see made into something. Maybe you could combine it with some of the things you have, because they might not have bone beads or whatever, and you could really do something spectacular for them and have it be something that they enjoy for a long time. Or do it for a friend, or just, hey, do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Get your stuff out that reminds you of that time, memories of that time, good times, things that you did, fun stuff that you did, and make yourself a piece of jewelry like this to remember it. Why not, right? But I will say, I worked on this yesterday, if you just want an idea. I started at 10 o'clock in the morning and I did not finish till 1:30 last night. So I worked on this solid all the time. Why did it take me so long when these are basic techniques that I know already? Well, that's because I had to work out the pattern. I had to work out the colors. I had to look and see, what do I have that I can put together that's going to flow, you know? Because you know how big I am on flow. It's got to be, you've got to have some flow there. So if you have questions about this, if you'd like to try it, just leave them in the comments. I'll answer you. I'm proving that. You know, last week we had really a lot of comments, yay, and had some nice conversations too, which I love that. I really love to get that started, to see a conversation here, you know, and build community here, as well as other places. But, you know, I will answer you. I answer every last person, every last person. So anything you want to tell me about or ask me or suggest to me, maybe you have an idea, hey, do it in the comments. You know, I will get to you. I will. I look every day for them. So leave it there, and we will have a good dialogue going. But make yourself some hippie chick memory jewelry. It doesn't have to be this big, but boy, this is a statement, right? This is like a book piece. So maybe it will be. Maybe it'll be in Stampington one day soon. Who knows? But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed seeing this. I hope you enjoyed seeing my project. Remember your dimensions: 6.5 on the sides, 6 1/4 in the middle on the Rolo. The abacus is 3 inches. The longest piece here is 5. These here are 5. There are 7 on the sides of the abacus. 7 this way and 7 that way. So if you want to get your, get your notebook out and write that down, and I will put them also under the description, so you'll have that there. All right. I'm done for today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope it takes you down memory lane. I have so many memories. I can't tell them all to you now, but if you went to Woodstock, or if you went to any of those festivals back at that time, if you saw the Grateful Dead, if you saw Jefferson, what was it, Airplane or Starship, or if you guys saw any of those people from that time, hey, tell us about it. You know, tell us what you wore when you went to see them. I'm going to see Cyndi Lauper this next week, so you can only imagine what I'll be wearing. That one, a pink wig. Anyway, enjoy the bib. I hope you'll make one, and I will have even more parts for you soon if you need them, okay? Have a great time, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.